then stared. Good Lord, how had she missed him when she'd come in? Major Winter stuck out in the cramped ballroom like a hawk among pigeons. He wore quite the dashing blue-coated uniform, which bristled with gold braid, and a wide, blood-red sash around his trim waist. Her heart raced just to look at it. And not only his uniform, either. His inky hair matched his inky boots, and though far from grizzled, his sun-browned skin made the other gentleman look positively anemic. It hinted at days spent at sea, at battles on the Mediterranean. Oh, the adventures he must have had. "Now that is a man," Venetia remarked. "They do grow them tall and well-built in America, don't they? Even if his features are somewhat rough." True, the man's jaw was a bit too angular, and his nose a touch too narrow for handsome. And any English lord would ruthlessly pluck those thick, unruly eyebrows. But even if his appearance were changed, as long as the man wore that brooding scowl, he would continue to look rough. And fascinating. "He hasn't yet asked a single lady to dance." Mischief glinted in Venetia's eyes. "But you'll adore this. They say he travels with a veritable arsenal. If he keeps insulting the officers, he may even have to use it." He insulted them? Drat it, she'd missed everything by coming late. "He told Lord Pomeroy that the Americans won their recent conflict with us because English officers are more interested in promenades than pistols." Amelia laughed. She could only imagine how the general had taken that pronouncement, especially from a man like the Major, who clearly saw this as enemy territory, even though the war had ended 3 years ago. As Major Winter sipped champagne, he scanned the ballroom with the barely leashed contempt of a spy doing reconnaissance. "Is he married?" Amelia asked. Venetia frowned. "Come to think of it, no one's actually said." "I do hope he isn't." Amelia slid another glance his way. "He must be remarkably brave to face his old enemies in their own territory." "And he must have something more than deadwood under his kilt," Venetia added, her Scottish burr faintly evident. Amelia eyed her askance. "You've been reading the chapbook of harem tales again, haven't you?" "It's quite informative." Venetia lowered her voice to a whisper. "What do you think? Does the Major have a sword worth worshipping with one's mouth?" "Goodness, even I'm not shameless enough to speculate on the Major's sword." Venetia chuckled. "Your stepmother will be delighted to hear it." Amelia laughed. "Lord knows Dolly despairs of me enough as it is, poor thing. She hated being dragged across the world by her late husband, so she can't understand why I would jump at the chance to travel." Her gaze drifted back to the Major. The American Marines were famous for battling the Barbary pirates in years past. Was he too young to have experienced that? Did she dare wangle an introduction to him to find out? Lord Kirkwood glanced in her direction and murmured something to his cousin, who followed his gaze. It was the first time the American had looked her way, so she flashed him an inviting smile. He didn't return it. His eyes narrowed on her with a sudden predatory intensity, then drifted rather impudently down her gown of yellow Chinese silk with its oriental red flounces. By the time they trailed back up to fix on her face, hot color was rising in her cheeks. Goodness gracious, the man was bold. No Englishman had ever looked at her as if she stood there stark naked. How very intriguing. It sent a delicious chill right down her spine. Then he ruined it with a curt nod and returned his gaze to his cousin. Well, what was she to make of that? "Where's your stepmother tonight, anyway?" Venetia asked. "She and Papa left for Torquay yesterday," Amelia said absently. Now that Dolly was expecting her first child, Papa was determined to coddle her in the country. "They nearly made me go, too, but Mrs. Harris fortunately agreed to come to town and chaperone me while she's not needed at the school." Amelia and Venetia had graduated from Mrs. Harris's school for young ladies 2 years ago, and their schoolmistress still bore a strong affection for them, as they did for her. That's why they rode out there monthly for tea and her lessons for heiresses, not to mention the wealth of information she received regularly from her mysterious benefactor, Cousin Michael. Much as I adore Mrs. Harris,